Astria drift hung in the dark like a quiet thought. It was not a big station, not like the city-sized rings in old documentaries. It was a long spine of metal and glass with 6 rotating habitat drums, a dock arm, and a web of antennae that reached out into the black. From far away it looked still, but inside it breathed with people, air pumps, humming lights, and the steady rhythm of work. The rescue alarm cut through the station's normal sounds like a knife. Doctor. Elias Cade was in the cognitive lab, leaning over a console and rubbing tired eyes when the walls flashed amber. A calm voice came from the ceiling speakers. Unidentified object detected, drift trajectory, no response to hails. All non-essential personnel remain in designated areas. Elias straightened. His first thought was debris, maybe a cracked cargo pod. His second thought came with a strange heat in his chest, a ship. He pushed off from the console and moved through the corridor with quick, practiced steps. The station's artificial gravity kept him grounded, but he still felt the faint sway of the habitat drum. Around him, people were already moving, their faces serious. A tech hurried past with a tablet, and a security officer tightened the strap on a shoulder pack. Elias reached the observation bay just as the external cameras fed a clear image to the wall-sized screen. A vessel drifted in slow spin. It was not human-made. It was too smooth, too organic, shaped like a seed with faint ridges along its surface. Its outer layer shimmered as if it carried a thin skin of ice, but the light glided across it wrong, like it was not reflecting but remembering light. One side was burned black, scarred as if something had tried to tear it open. Commander Rena Holt stood with her hands behind her back, calm in a way that made others calmer. Her eyes stayed on the screen. "Bring it in," she said, gently, like it's made of glass. The docking crew worked fast. Robotic arms adjusted, thrusters puffed soft bursts, and the unknown ship was guided into the stations, receiving cradle. The first contact team assembled in the airlock bay. Security, medics, engineers, and Elias, who wore the simple badge of a civilian specialist. As they waited behind the thick inner door, Elias felt a strange tension he could not name. He told himself it was normal. Humanity had seen alien signals before, probes, relics, odd machines. But a living ship with a survivor inside was different. It was history stepping into the room. The inner door hissed. The chamber filled with cold mist. Lights in the airlock shifted from red to white. They moved. The outer hatch of the alien vessel did not open with hinges or bolts. It unfolded like a flower in reverse, petals rolling back smoothly. Air poured out thin and sharp. Instruments beeped. "Atmosphere trace," an engineer muttered. "Not breathable." "Proceed," Holt said. 2 medics floated in first, followed by a security pair with non-lethal stun batons. Elias stayed near the rear, watching, taking in details. The inside of the vessel was narrow and curved. The walls were alive with faint lines that pulsed slowly, like veins under skin. Some of them were dark, as if the ship had lost blood. Then one of the medics stopped. "Commander," she said softly. Holt moved forward. Elias leaned to see. In a small chamber at the center lay a figure. It looked like a woman at first glance, but not human. Her skin had a soft, pale tone with hints of silver under it, like moonlight caught in mist. Her hair was dark and long, floating slightly in the low gravity inside the ship. She wore a suit that seemed grown around her body, smooth and seamless. And across her collarbones and arms were faint patterns, thin lines like ink, barely visible until they glowed. She was alive. Her chest rose and fell in shallow breaths. Her eyelids flickered as if she was trapped between sleep and waking. "Vitals?" Holt asked. "Stable but weak," the medic answered. "Neural activity is unusual. There's damage or stress. Could be trauma." Elias stepped closer without meaning to. It felt like being pulled by a quiet force. He caught himself and stopped, but his eyes stayed on her face. Her eyes opened. They were bright, not with color exactly, but with depth, like looking into water that had stars beneath it. She stared at the group with fear and confusion. Her lips parted. A sound came out, soft, broken, not any language Elias knew. The patterns on her skin flashed once, then dimmed. Elias felt a sudden pressure behind his eyes, as if a memory tried to surface but found no place to land. His fingers tingled. The alien woman's gaze snapped to him. Her breathing steadied. The fear in her face shifted into something else. Not calm, not comfort, but recognition. The kind that happens when someone hears a voice they have loved, even if they cannot place it. She whispered a single word in a rough, unfamiliar accent. "Anchor!" The room went quiet. Holt turned her head slightly toward Elias like she was measuring him. Elias could not move. His throat was dry. "I didn't say anything," Elias managed, though no one had accused him. His voice sounded too small in the curved alien chamber. The medic moved gently and placed a scanner near the woman's temple. "We should get her to Med Bay," she said. "Now." The alien woman's eyes stayed on Elias as they lifted her onto a stretcher. She did not resist. It was like her body had decided without her permission that he meant safety. As they pulled back through the airlock, Elias followed, his mind racing. Anchor. It was not a word he had used in any work. It was not a name. It felt older than language. In Med Bay, the lights were brighter, the air warmer, the world more normal. Machines surrounded the alien woman, feeding her fluids, stabilizing her breathing, monitoring neural activity. The staff moved carefully, like they were afraid to break something sacred. Elias stood behind a glass partition with Holt and Chief Medical Officer Sana Verma. Verma's face was serious. "She's not human, that's obvious. But her biology is close enough that our machines can read basic signals. That's rare." Holt crossed her arms. "Can she communicate?" "Not yet," Verma said. "She's awake in short waves, disoriented. Also, her memory centers show disruption." "Amnesia?" Holt asked. "Something like it," Verma answered. "But it's complicated. It's not only loss. It's as if parts of her identity are scrambled." Elias kept staring through the glass. The alien woman lay still, eyes closed now, but her fingers twitched now and then. The patterns under her skin pulsed faintly, almost like a heartbeat separate from the one in her chest. Verma looked at Elias. "She reacted to you." "I noticed," Elias said. Holt's gaze sharpened. "Dr. Cade, did you ever participate in classified comm experiments?" Elias blinked. "No, I've worked on cognitive resilience, stress response, memory models, nothing about comms, not beyond normal." Holt studied him for a long second, then nodded, as if filing his answer away. Verma sighed. "She said one word, anchor." Elias swallowed. "Could be a translation error, could be." "She said it clearly," Verma cut in gently, "and she only said it while looking at you." Elias had no good reply. He felt like he was standing in the path of a storm that had not yet arrived. Hours passed. The station returned to routine, but the routine felt different now. People whispered in corridors. Security doubled on Med Bay doors. The science teams argued over scans and speculations. Command sent reports to Earth that would take long minutes to cross the distance, even with compressed bursts. Elias returned to his lab but could not focus. His screens showed graphs, neural maps, and training models, but his mind kept returning to the woman's eyes and that one word. Anchor. Near midnight station time, Holt requested him in a secure briefing room. The room was small, bare, with a table bolted to the floor and a single screen on the wall. Holt sat with a data officer named Tamsin Lee, who already had files open. Holt gestured for Elias to sit. "We've run preliminary decryption on the vessel's internal signals," Holt said. "There's no standard language, no clear text, but there are repeated patterns, frequencies, a kind of neural encoding." Lee tapped the screen. "We mapped the patterns against known human neural signatures just as an experiment. It shouldn't match anything." Elias frowned. "And?" Lee hesitated, then displayed a simple tag, a string of characters translated into station notation for clarity. Elias' stomach tightened. It was his name, not written in any alphabet he knew, but tagged by the system's mapping with a high-confidence label, ELIASKADE. Elias stared at it, feeling cold spread through his chest. "That's not possible." "It's not a direct translation," Lee said quickly. "It's a correlation, a signature, like a fingerprint, not a word." Holt leaned forward. "Your neural profile is in station records. Medical scans, cognitive tests, standard stuff. The alien vessel's data contains a pattern that aligns with your profile in a way that is too close to be random." Elias shook his head. "I've never left the inner colonies. I've never met an alien. How would?" "That's what we need to find out," Holt said. Her voice was firm but not accusing. "For now, we need her stable and we need her to talk. You are the best person on this station to guide her through memory and language recovery." Elias swallowed. "I'm not a linguist." "You're a mind specialist," Holt replied. "And she responds to you, that matters." Elias felt trapped between fear and duty. He had spent years studying how humans kept their minds together under pressure. He had written papers about identity, about how memory shaped self. Now a living mystery lay in Med Bay, looking at him like he was something she had lost and found again. "I'll try," he said quietly. "Good," Holt said. One more thing, keep this limited, no dramatic rumors, no public speculation, we're in deep space and panic is a disease. Elias nodded. Back in Med Bay, Verma met him at the door. She's awake again, she said. Short window. Elias walked in slowly. The room smelled like antiseptic and warm electronics. The alien woman lay propped up slightly, supported by soft restraints that were more for safety than control. Her eyes were open, scanning the room. She looked less frightened now, but more lost. Verma stayed nearby, hands relaxed, ready to step in if needed. Elias approached, stopping a few steps away. He kept his voice low and simple, as if speaking to someone in shock. "Hello," he said. "My name is Elias." The alien woman's gaze locked onto him. Her eyes softened again, as if she had been holding her breath and could finally let it go. Her lips moved. She tried. The sound broke, then returned. Elias. Hearing his name in her voice sent a strange ache through him. Not pleasure, not pride. Something deeper, like a chord being struck in a place he did not know existed. "That's me," Elias said gently. "You are safe, do you understand?" She frowned slightly, searching. Then she nodded, small and uncertain. Verma glanced at Elias, then at her monitors, as if amazed. Elias pointed softly to himself. "Elias!" Then he pointed to her, careful not to invade her space. "You!" The alien woman blinked. Her hand lifted slowly, trembling, and she touched her own chest, as if checking that she was real. Her fingers brushed the faint patterns. The lines glowed under her touch, brightening like a quiet sunrise. She spoke a string of sounds. It might have been a name or a prayer or a broken memory. Elias listened, then tried again. "Do you remember your name?" She stared at him, her brows pulled together. Confusion built on her face, then pain. Her breathing quickened. The patterns on her skin flashed sharply, then flickered like a dying light. Verma stepped forward. "Easy," she said, voice soothing. She adjusted a setting on the drip. "Don't push." Elias raised his hand slightly. "Okay, no name, that's okay." The alien woman's eyes squeezed shut for a moment. When she opened them again, tears sat at the corners, not falling, held by surface tension in the low gravity. Her voice came out in a whisper. "Forgot," she said, the word clumsy but clear. "I forgot." Elias felt his chest tighten. "It's all right," he said. "We can take it slow." Her gaze searched his face like she was trying to read him as a map, then her lips moved again. "Anchor," she whispered, stronger this time. Elias' mind flashed with an image that was not his, a dark ocean of space, a line of light stretching across it, and a feeling of holding on while everything else drifted away. He took a careful breath. "Why do you call me that?" She stared, and for a second her eyes looked older than the station, older than the stars outside. Then the moment cracked. She shook her head and the glow on her skin dimmed again. "Don't know," she whispered. "But feel." Elias nodded slowly. "You feel it." "Even if you don't know." She watched him, her shoulders lowered, slightly easing. It was as if the shape of him in the room allowed her mind to rest. Verma stepped in again, speaking to Elias in a lower voice. "Her stress spikes when she reaches for personal memory," she said. "But she stabilizes when she focuses on you. It's like you are a grounding point." Elias looked at the alien woman, then at Verma. "Could be a trauma response. She links safety with the first calm thing she saw." "That would be reasonable," Verma said, "if the calm thing was a blanket or a wall, not a specific person, not your neural signature buried in her ship's data." Elias had no answer. He stepped closer by half a pace, keeping his posture open. "What should I call you?" he asked the alien woman softly. "If you forgot your name, we can choose something temporary, something simple." She blinked, thinking. Her lips parted, then closed. She tried to speak, but nothing came. Elias glanced at the faint, glowing lines. "Do those patterns mean something?" She looked down at her own arms. Her fingers traced the lines. For a moment, the glow steadied. Then she said a word, quiet and careful. "Home," she whispered. Elias felt his throat tighten. "You miss home." She nodded once, slow. Elias took a small risk. He kept his words plain. "Do you know why you were in that ship? Why you were alone?" Her eyes darkened with fear. She shook her head fast, then stopped, confused again. Her hand rose, pressing to her temple as if trying to hold her thoughts in place. Verma touched Elias' arm gently. "Enough," she murmured. Elias nodded. He lowered his voice further, almost like a lullaby. "It's okay, rest. We will help you. I will come back." The alien woman's eyes snapped to him with sudden urgency. She reached out, fingers trembling, as if afraid he would vanish. The restraints allowed her a small movement, but not much. Her hand hovered in the air, not touching him, as if she did not know if she was allowed. Elias slowly extended his hand, palm up, offering without forcing. After a tense second, she placed her fingers into his palm. Her skin was warm. The faint glow on her arm brightened at the contact, then spread in small pulses like light traveling along a path. Elias felt a sharp tingling behind his eyes. Another flash of something not his, a vast hall of curved stone, voices singing without words, and a bright thread connecting two distant points like a bridge. He drew in a shaky breath, staying calm outwardly. The alien woman's lips moved. "Safe," she whispered, then softer, "Here." Elias nodded. "Yes, here, safe." Verma watched the monitors and looked startled. "Her neural coherence just improved," she said quietly. "It's like contact with you stabilizes her." Elias swallowed, still holding her hand carefully. "Then I'll be here," he said, though he did not fully understand what he was promising. A warning tone sounded from a monitor. Verma checked it and frowned. "She's tiring. Her brain activity is dropping. She needs sleep." Elias gently released her hand. "I'll come back," he repeated. The alien woman's eyes stayed on him, heavy now. Her voice was barely a breath. "Anchor, stay." Elias felt the words hit him like gravity. He wanted to tell her he could not stay forever, that he had duties, that he was only human and small in the face of this. But he saw the fear behind her plea, the fear of drifting back into nothing. "I'll be close," he said instead. "I won't be far." Her eyelids fluttered. The glow on her skin softened and slowed. In a minute, she slipped into sleep. Elias stood beside the bed for a long time after that, watching her breathe, listening to the station's distant hum. Outside the med bay window, the stars did not blink. They simply waited. Verma finally broke the silence. "You saw something," she said quietly. Elias turned his head. "What do you mean?" "When you touched her, your pupils changed," Verma replied. "Like you were looking at something far away, like you were remembering." Elias stared at his own hands, then back at the sleeping alien woman. "I don't know what I saw," he admitted, "but it felt real." Verma's voice softened. "Whatever is happening, it's bigger than this station." Elias looked at the alien woman again. Her face was peaceful now, but the faint patterns under her skin still glowed, like a map of a place he had never visited. Or maybe had, in a way he could not explain. Somewhere deep in the station, a secure message alert sounded for Commander Holt. Somewhere farther away, across impossible distance, Earth waited for news it could barely believe. Elias remained in the quiet room, feeling the weight of that one word, anchor. He did not know why she recognized him. He did not know how his identity could be written into alien data, but he knew one thing with a certainty that made his heart beat harder. She had forgotten her name, yet something inside her, something older than memory, had reached for him in the dark. And whatever had chased her across the stars might not be far behind. The station never truly slept. Even in the quiet hours, when most of the crew rested in their quarters and the lights dimmed to a soft blue, Astrea drift kept breathing. Air flowed through hidden vents. Machines whispered behind walls. The stars outside turned slowly like a great silent clock. Elias sat in a chair outside the med bay, hands wrapped around a cup of cooling tea. He had not gone back to his room. He had not even tried. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the alien woman's face and felt that strange pull in his chest, like a thread tied around his heart and stretched into deep space. Inside the med bay, she slept. Verma had insisted on rest for both of them, but Elias had only moved as far as the chair outside the door. A soft panel beside him showed her vital signs in simple lines and numbers. Her breathing was steady. Her neural patterns still flickered in odd, beautiful waves. A shadow fell across the floor. Commander Holt stood nearby, arms folded, studying Elias with the same careful look she gave broken machines and unknown signals. "You should get some sleep," Holt said. Elias shook his head. "I'm fine." Holt raised an eyebrow. "You've been sitting here for 6 hours." "I know," Elias replied. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Holt spoke again, her voice lower. "The ship's data is still unfolding. It's not just you in there, it's humanity." Elias looked up. "What do you mean?" Holt tapped her wrist screen and a holographic image rose between them. It showed a web of glowing points, lines connecting them in shifting patterns. "These are neural echoes," Holt explained. "The vessel recorded something like emotional signatures, not words, not images. Feelings, and they match human profiles, thousands of them." Elias frowned. "How could an alien ship have human emotional data?" "That's the question," Holt said. Some of these signatures are decades old. Some go back to the early days of long-range comm experiments. Elias' mind went back to something he had read in school, a project that tried to send more than sound or text across space, a project that tried to send presence. That project failed, Elias said slowly. The signals scattered. The data was lost. Holt nodded. Or so we thought. Elias looked at the door to the med bay. You think she found it? I think she followed it, Holt said, like a trail in the dark. Elias felt a chill. Why? Holt's eyes softened just a little. That's what we need to ask her when she's ready. A soft alert chimed. The panel by the door flashed. Verma's voice came through the speaker. Elias, she's awake. Elias stood so fast his chair tipped back. Holt stepped aside. Inside, the med bay lights were low and warm. The alien woman lay propped up again, her eyes open. When she saw Elias, the familiar change came over her face. Tension eased, her shoulders relaxed. Anchor, she said softly. Elias smiled, a small, tired smile. Hello. Verma stood nearby, arms crossed, watching both of them like a careful referee. The alien woman tilted her head. You here? Yes, Elias said. I told you I would be close. She nodded, as if that answer mattered deeply. Elias pulled a chair up and sat beside her bed. He kept a respectful distance, but stayed within her line of sight. I want to try something simple, he said. We can talk about easy things, no pressure. She watched his face, studying every movement. Elias pointed to the ceiling light. Light! She followed his finger, her lips moved. Light, she repeated, the word slow but clear. Elias pointed to the bed. Bed, bed, she echoed. He pointed to himself. Elias, she said again, more confident now. Then she pointed to herself. Her brows pulled together. She hesitated. Elias waited. Me, she finally said. Elias nodded. Yes, you. She seemed pleased by that. The faint glow under her skin brightened slightly like a soft smile made of light. Verma leaned in. Try something about memory, she suggested quietly. Elias hesitated, then spoke gently. Do you remember stars? The alien woman's eyes widened. She looked past the ceiling, past the walls, as if seeing through the station into the endless dark beyond. Her breathing slowed. Stars, she whispered. So many. A flicker of images crossed her face. Wonder, sadness, longing. Elias kept his voice calm. Do you remember being with others? Her hand lifted, fingers curling as if trying to hold something invisible. She nodded. Yes, she said. Voices, light, together. Her glow strengthened, tracing patterns along her arms and neck. What happened? Elias asked softly. Her face tightened, the glow faltered. Gone, she whispered. Quiet, so quiet. Her breathing quickened. Verma stepped closer, but Elias raised a hand slightly, signaling he would slow down. It's okay, Elias said. We don't have to go there. She looked at him, eyes shining. You not gone? Elias felt that strange ache again. No, he said. I'm here. She leaned back into the pillow, tired but calmer. Verma checked her monitors. Her stress spikes when she thinks about her people, she said. But when she focuses on Elias, her neural stability improves. Elias nodded. Then let's build from here. Over the next days, a quiet routine formed. Elias spent hours in the med bay. He brought simple objects, a metal cup, a cloth, a small screen showing stars and planets. He named things, she repeated. Sometimes she got words wrong. Sometimes she laughed, a soft, surprised sound like she did not know she could make it. The crew began calling her Star, not as a name, but as a gentle label since she reacted positively when she saw images of space. She did not correct them. She did not offer another. One day, Elias showed her a recording of Earth, blue oceans, white clouds, green land. She stared at it, silent for a long time. Home, she asked. Elias shook his head. My home, not yours, she nodded slowly. Still beautiful. The word came out careful but true. At night, when she slept, Elias reviewed the ship's data with Lee. They found more strange links. Emotional patterns that matched not only Elias but random humans across history. Joy, grief, hope, fear, love. The vessel had not just recorded them, it had collected them. It's like a library, Lee said, but not of facts, of feelings. Why would an alien species do that? Elias asked. Lee shrugged. Maybe for the same reason we keep stories. One evening, Star spoke a new word without being prompted. Constant, she said, looking at Elias. Elias blinked. What does that mean to you? She searched for the right shape of the idea. Thing that stays when others move. Elias swallowed. And that's me, she nodded. You stay. The station, meanwhile, began to feel the change. People who passed by the med bay reported strange dreams. Dreams of standing on wide stone halls under glowing skies. Dreams of voices singing without words. It was not frightening, it was peaceful. Holt called Elias in for another meeting. "We're detecting low-level neural resonance across the station," Holt said. "Nothing harmful." "But it's coming from her," Elias frowned. "She's not doing it on purpose." "I know," Holt said, "but she's broadcasting something, emotion, presence, the crew is responding." "Like empathy," Elias said. Holt nodded. "Exactly." Back in the med bay, Elias asked Star about it. "Do you feel others?" he asked. She tilted her head. "Yes, soft, like wind." "Can you stop it?" Elias asked gently. She closed her eyes, focusing. The glow on her skin dimmed slightly. "Trying," she said, "but it is breathing, hard to hold breath forever." Elias smiled. "I understand that." One day, Star surprised him. "Why you?" she asked. Elias blinked. "Why me?" she nodded. "Why anchor you?" Elias thought for a long time. "I don't know," he admitted. "I've never done anything special." She studied him, then shook her head. "You listen." Elias felt warmth spread in his chest. "I can do that." Later that night, as Star slept, the station's long-range sensors picked up something new. Holt stood on the bridge, staring at the screen, a faint ripple in space like a shadow moving through light. "Signal?" she asked. "Not a signal," the sensor officer replied. "A disturbance moving fast on a direct path." Holt's jaw tightened. "How long?" "2 days, maybe less." Holt sent a secure message to Earth, then another to internal security. Back in the med bay, Elias sat beside Star, unaware of the quiet storm approaching. Star woke suddenly, gasping. The glow on her skin flared bright, lighting the room in soft silver. Elias stood. "What is it?" She looked at him, fear clear on her face. "Coming," she whispered. "What's coming?" Elias asked. She shook her head, struggling. "Quiet, hungry it takes." Elias felt a chill. "The silence," her eyes widened. "You know." Elias nodded slowly. "You told me once without words." She grabbed his hand, gripping it tightly. "It follows. It finds light, it eats memory, it eats us." Elias' heart pounded. "Can it find this station?" She looked around, then back at him. "It feels you." Elias swallowed. "Me. You are loud," she said. "Not sound, feeling you shine." Elias did not know whether to feel proud or afraid. Verma rushed in, alerted by the spike in readings. "What's happening?" "She senses something," Elias said. Star squeezed his hand. "You called me," she whispered. "Long ago, a feeling across dark, I followed." Elias stared at her. "Humans did that," she nodded. "A small light but brave, alone, I came, others came." "Where are they?" Elias asked. Her face fell. "Lost, forgot, quiet took them." Elias felt anger rise in him, sharp and hot. "Then we won't forget," he said. "Not here." "Not now." Star looked at him, surprised. Then she smiled, small but strong. "You stay," she said again. "Yes," Elias said. "I stay." Alarms began to sound softly in distant corridors, a low-level alert spreading through the station. Verma checked her tablet. "Commander Holt just raised the security level." Star's glow pulsed faster. "It is near," she whispered. Elias took a steady breath. "Then we prepare." He did not know how to fight a thing that ate memory. He did not know how to protect a station with people and metal against something that moved through minds and space. But he knew one thing. He would not let her drift alone again. Elias squeezed Star's hand, grounding himself as much as her. Outside the station, far beyond sight, the faint ripple in space grew stronger, like a tide rolling in. Inside, a human and an alien, tied together by a thread older than either of them understood, stood ready to hold against the quiet. The alert lights on Astrea Drift shifted from soft blue to deep amber. The change was slow, like the station itself was taking a careful breath. Doors sealed in the outer sections. Crew members moved with quiet purpose, guided by calm voices over the intercom. Elias stood beside Star's bed, his hand still in hers. Her glow had not faded. It pulsed in steady waves now, like a heart made of light. Verma watched the monitors, her face tight. "Sensors confirm a space distortion outside the station's range," she said. "We can't see it clearly, but it's there." Star turned her head toward the wall, as if she could feel through metal and vacuum. "It listens," she whispered. "It feels for noise inside minds." Elias frowned. "Noise? Thoughts," Star said. "Fear, loss, memory, the louder the pain, the easier it finds you." Elias looked around the med bay. People were tense. Even the quiet hum of machines felt heavy. "How do we hide?" Elias asked. Star closed her eyes. The glow on her skin shifted, spreading in wider lines. "Not hide," she said. "Hold." "Hold what?" Elias asked. Each other, she replied. Commander Holt entered the med bay, flanked by 2 security officers. We've got about an hour before the distortion reaches close range, she said. We're preparing emergency protocols. If this thing affects minds, we may need to isolate sections. Star shook her head fast. Alone is worse, she said. It takes the lost first. Holt hesitated. You're saying separation makes us weaker? Yes, Star said. Together makes weight like gravity. Elias stepped forward. Then we bring people here near her, near each other. Holt studied him, then Star. That's a risk. Everything is a risk, Elias said. But she's our only guide. Holt made a decision. She tapped her wrist. Open central corridor access to Med Bay. Non-essential crew move here in groups. Keep communication open. No one alone. The station responded. People began to arrive. Engineers, technicians, scientists, even cooks and maintenance staff. They gathered in the wide corridor outside the Med Bay, sitting on the floor, leaning against walls, talking quietly. Some looked scared. Some looked curious. All looked tired. Star watched through the glass wall. Her glow brightened, soft and wide, like moonlight spilling into a room. They feel, she said. They listen. Elias nodded. They care. The first wave hit without sound. It felt like a cold breath across the station. People shivered. A few gasped. Elias felt it too, a pressure behind his eyes like someone gently pushing on his thoughts. For a moment his memory of his childhood home flickered. The smell of rain, his mother's voice. The image blurred. Star cried out softly. Her glow flared bright. Hold, she said. Hold to me, hold to each other. Elias took a step closer to the glass. He raised his free hand, palm open, facing the gathered crew. Listen, he called out. His voice carried through the corridor. Say something you care about out loud. Don't keep it inside. People looked at each other, confused. A young engineer spoke first, her voice shaking. My sister, she's back on Earth. She hates my messages, but I send them anyway. A cook laughed softly. My soup, I finally got it right last week. Someone else said, my dog, I left him with my neighbor. More voices followed. Simple things, big things, love, fear, hope. The pressure in Elias' head eased. Star's glow spread wider, filling the Med Bay and spilling into the corridor like a soft sunrise. The second wave came stronger. A man near the back clutched his head. I can't remember my station code, he said, panic rising. Star stepped forward, ignoring Verma's warning. She pressed her glowing hand against the glass wall. Elias mirrored her, placing his hand on the other side. Look at me, Elias said to the man. You're here, you're safe. What's your name? The man blinked. Joran, he said slowly. I'm Joran. Yes, Elias said. Joran, you fixed the water pumps. You helped me last month. Joran's breathing steadied. I did, he said. I remember. Star smiled faintly. Holt watched, awe in her eyes. The distortion outside the station grew stronger. The sensors screamed now, showing a shadow in space like a hole in the stars. Star turned to Elias, fear and determination mixed in her eyes. It wants me, she said. I am loudest. Elias shook his head. It won't take you. It has before, Star said softly. My people, my friends. Elias swallowed. Then we do something different. What? She asked. Elias looked at the gathered crew. You said humans shine. You said we're loud with feeling. Star nodded. Then let's be louder, Elias said. Holt stepped closer. What are you thinking? Elias took a breath. We connect, all of us, not with machines, with attention, with focus. We make a single, strong signal. Star's eyes widened. A chorus, she whispered, like my people once did. Teach us, Elias said. Star closed her eyes. The glow on her skin formed new patterns, flowing like moving lines of light. Think of someone you care for, she said, her voice carrying through the corridor, calm and steady. Not a picture, a feeling, warm, strong, hold it, share it. People hesitated. Then slowly they followed. Elias thought of his mother's laugh, of his best friend back on Mars. Of Star's hand in his, the station grew quiet, not with silence but with focus. The shadow outside pressed closer. Elias felt something shift. It was like standing in a river and feeling the current change direction. Star opened her eyes. It feels you, she said. All of you. The third wave came like a storm. Lights flickered. People cried out. Memories slipped. A woman forgot her own name. A man forgot where he was standing. Elias stumbled, pain flashing through his head. For a terrifying second, he could not remember why he was here. Star grabbed him, her glow flaring blindingly bright. Anchor, she said, her voice cutting through the fog. Stay, Elias gasped. His memories rushed back. I'm here, he said. I'm here. He held Star and Star held him, and the people in the corridor held to their feelings, their voices rising again. The shadow outside the station stopped. The sensors showed something impossible. The distortion rippled like it had hit a wall made of air. Holt stared at the screen. "It's slowing." Star smiled, tears of light in her eyes. "It does not understand this," she said. "It knows loss, it does not know choice." Elias raised his voice. "Then choose," he said to the crew. "Choose to remember, choose each other." They did. The shadow pulled back just a little, but it was not gone. Star's glow dimmed suddenly. She sagged in Elias' arms. Verma rushed forward. "Her energy levels are dropping fast." Star looked up at Elias, weak but calm. "I cannot hold it alone," she said, "but you can." Elias shook his head. "I'm just one person," she smiled. "You are many, you listen, you care, that is how it starts." Elias felt something open inside him, like a door he had never known was there. He turned to the crew. "Stay with me," he said. "All of you." They did not hesitate. Elias closed his eyes. He did not try to fight the shadow. He did not try to push it away. He reached. He reached for every voice in the corridor, every small human thing. Soup, dogs, sisters, laughter, tears, home. He felt them connect not as thoughts but as warmth. The station glowed not with light but with presence. Outside, the shadow trembled. For the first time, it did not move forward, it drifted. Star watched, her eyes shining. "You are teaching it something," she whispered. Elias opened his eyes. "What?" "That the universe is not quiet," she said. "Not anymore." The shadow faded back into the dark, slow and uncertain, like something that had met a question it could not answer. The alarms on Astrea Drift softened, then fell silent. People collapsed against the walls, exhausted, crying, laughing, holding each other. Holt let out a long breath she had been holding for hours. Verma checked Star's monitors. "She's stable," she said, relief clear in her voice. Elias sat beside Star's bed, his hands shaking. Star reached out, weak but smiling. "You stayed," she said. "Yes," Elias replied, "and so did you." She closed her eyes, resting. "The quiet will come again," she whispered. "But now it knows your sound." Elias looked out the med bay window at the stars, still shining, still waiting. For the first time, he did not feel small beneath them. He felt heard. And somewhere in the dark, something ancient and hungry had learned that it was no longer alone in the universe. The station felt different after the shadow pulled back. It was not loud. It was not bright. It was soft, like the quiet after a long storm. People moved slower. They spoke in low voices. Even the machines seemed to hum more gently, as if they too were tired. Elias sat beside Star's bed, watching her breathe. The glow on her skin was faint now, like the last light of sunset. Verma had insisted she rest. Her body, whatever it truly was, had given more than it should. Outside the med bay, the crew rested in small groups. Some slept on the floor, some talked quietly. Some just stared at the stars through the wide windows. They had not won, but they had not lost either. Star's eyes opened slowly. When she saw Elias, she smiled. "You are still here," she said. "Yes," Elias replied. "I told you I would be." She studied his face. "You look tired." Elias laughed softly. "So do you." Star lifted her hand, weak but steady. Elias took it. "I remember more now," she said. Elias leaned forward. "What do you remember?" "Not words," Star said. "Not yet, but shapes, feelings, my people. We were not strong like you. We were not loud. We were gentle." Elias nodded. "There's strength in that, too," Star smiled. "We thought so. We listened to the universe. We felt it breathe. We thought it would always be kind." Her glow flickered slightly. "But the quiet came," she whispered. "It took those who drifted, those who forgot why they were together." Elias squeezed her hand. "And you?" "I ran," Star said. "I followed the small light, the brave one." Elias frowned. "The human signal," she nodded. "It was weak, but it was warm. It felt like someone standing in the dark and saying, 'I am here.'" Elias felt a lump rise in his throat. Star's eyes softened. "That was you, all of you." A soft chime sounded. Holt stepped into the med bay, her face tired but calm. "Earth has responded," she said. "They want a full report. They want to know what this thing is and how we pushed it back." Star looked at Elias. "You will tell them." Elias nodded. "Yes." Holt crossed her arms. "They also want to bring you home, both of you, to study, to protect." Star's grip on Elias' hand tightened. Elias met Holt's gaze. "She's not a thing to be moved around." Holt sighed. "I know, but Earth will worry." "This shadow may come again." Star looked between them. "It will," she said simply. The room went quiet. "Then we prepare," Elias said. Over the next days, Astrea Drift became more than a station. It became a meeting place. Messages went out across human space, not with fear but with invitation. Crews were told what had happened, not in technical language but in simple words. There is something in the dark that eats memory. It does not understand connection. We held it back by caring for each other. Ships began to arrive. Small ones, big ones, research vessels, cargo haulers, even old exploration craft that had not flown in years. They docked and filled the station with voices, faces, stories. Star walked the corridors with Elias, slowly at first, then stronger. People stared at her, curious but respectful. Children waved. Engineers asked questions. Some just said thank you. Star listened. She listened to laughter, to arguments, to songs played badly on old instruments, to people missing home. Her glow grew stronger each day. One evening, Star and Elias stood by the wide observation window. The stars stretched out before them, endless and bright. "I remember my name," Star said suddenly. Elias turned, heart racing. "You do," she nodded, "but it is not a sound, not like your names." She lifted her glowing hand and traced a pattern in the air. The light lingered, forming a shape like a spiral of stars. "This is me," she said. "It means the one who holds paths." Elias smiled. "That's beautiful." Star looked at him. "And you?" Elias blinked. "What about me?" "You are not just Elias," she said. "You are Anchor, Constant, the one who listens." Elias laughed softly. "I think I like Elias." Star tilted her head. "Then that is who you are." The first sign of the shadow's return came weeks later. Long-range sensors picked up a faint ripple far out, barely a whisper in space. Holt called a meeting in the central hall. Humans filled the room. Star stood beside Elias at the front. "It's back," Holt said. "Not here yet." "But it's moving again." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Star stepped forward. "It will come," she said, "because it does not like what you are becoming." A man near the front asked, "What are we becoming?" Star looked around the room. "Together," she said, loud with care, heavy with meaning. Elias spoke next. "We didn't beat it with weapons, we didn't beat it with machines, we beat it by choosing each other." A woman in the crowd raised her hand. "What if we forget?" Star smiled gently. "Then we remind each other." The plan was simple. When the shadow came close, the ships would form a wide circle around Astrea Drift. Not a defense line, a gathering. People would talk, sing, share stories, think of those they loved, not as a trap, as an answer. The day the shadow arrived, space itself seemed to dim. The stars beyond the station blurred like someone had breathed on a window. Elias felt the familiar pressure in his mind, stronger now, heavier. Star stood tall, her glow bright as a small sun. "Hold," she said. "All of you?" Across the station and the ships, voices rose. Someone played a guitar, slow and steady. A group of children laughed and told jokes that made no sense. A captain read a letter from home out loud, his voice breaking. Elias closed his eyes and reached again, feeling the warmth of thousands of minds, thousands of small human lights. The shadow pushed forward. This time it did not stop. Star cried out, falling to one knee. "It is learning," she said. "It is trying to copy you." Elias rushed to her side. "Then we change," he said. "How?" Star asked. Elias thought of the first time she had said his name, of the way she had recognized him without knowing why. He looked up at the crowd. "Don't just think of people you love," he said. "Think of someone you've never met, someone far away, wish them well." The room hesitated. Then slowly people did. They thought of strangers, of unknown faces, of lives they would never see. The feeling changed. It grew wider, softer, bigger. Star gasped. Her glow flared in a new pattern, spreading like wings of light. The shadow outside the station shuddered. It had learned how to take memory, but it did not know how to receive kindness. It began to pull back, not fast, not in fear, but in confusion. Star stood, her light reaching out into space, not as a shield, but as an open hand. "You are not alone," she whispered, not to the humans, but to the shadow. "You do not have to be empty." The shadow wavered. For a moment, just a moment, it stopped being a hole in the stars. It became a shape, not a creature, not a thing, a presence. Then it faded, drifting away into the dark, slower than before, quieter. The stars sharpened again, the pressure lifted, people cheered, some cried, some just sat down, shaking with relief. Star sank into Elias' arms, exhausted but smiling. "It heard you," she whispered. Elias held her, looking out at the bright, endless sky. "Do you think it will come back?" Star nodded. "Yes, but each time it will be less quiet." Weeks later, messages spread across the galaxy. Not warnings, stories. Humans told others about a station in deep space where people and an alien stood together and made the dark listen. Other species responded, curious signals. gentle questions, small lights reaching out. Star watched them arrive one by one like distant stars moving closer. Elias stood beside her, no longer just a scientist, no longer just a man on a station. He was part of something larger. One evening, Star forgot his name again. She looked at him, confused, searching. Elias waited, her eyes softened. "Anchor," she said, smiling. Elias laughed. "That works." They stood together, watching ships from many worlds drift in, not for trade, not for war, but to sit in the same quiet and share their light. Far away in the deep dark between galaxies, the shadow drifted, no longer alone, no longer unseen. And in the growing chorus of voices, of care, of simple, stubborn kindness, the universe learned a new sound. Not silence, but connection.